Okay, Bismillah ar-Rahim. Today, inshallah, we are going to study the relationship between the price elasticity of demand and the slope of demand curve, as well as we will study the relationship between the price elasticity of demand and total revenue. If we have enough time, once we finish these points, we will go to study the determinants of the price elasticity of demand. In the last class, we said that we have different shapes for the price elasticity, or the demand curve. And we said also that the lower or the larger elasticity, the lower slope of demand curve. مظبوط? The highest price elasticity of demand, the lowest slope of the demand curve. And if you remember, the price elasticity of demand formula equals QD2 minus QD1 over P2 minus P1 times P2 plus P1 over QD2 plus QD1. This part of the formula here, PED, the change in quant demanded over the change in price times summation of the prices over the summation of quant demanded. Right? And we mentioned also, or we said that the slope of demand curve, here's the demand curve, price, quant demanded. The slope هو tan هذا مقابل على مجاور. Change in price over the change in quant demanded. So the slope here, change in price over change in quant demanded. All right? The general formula for the price elasticity of demand اللي هي الأوريجينال formula كانت شو؟ PED اللي عملنا درايفنج لهذا الجزء تمام كان was اللي هو QD2 minus QD1 over P2 minus P1 times P1 over QD1. This is the original formula. All right?
Yes.
تمام. I'm gonna try to find the relationship between the price elasticity of demand and the slope here. Okay? So here we can say that PED equals change in quant demanded over change in price times P over QD. Here's the general formula مظبوط for the price elasticity of demand. This part is the opposite of the slope here. مقلوب صح? So we can say that PED equals 1 over the slope here. مظبوط؟ اللي هو السلوب هذا الأوبسيت تبع السلوب. 1 over the slope times P over QD. The larger value of the slope here, the lower value of the price elasticity of demand. صح? Now, let us assume that along this demand curve here, we have 2, 4, 6, 8, 2, 4, 6, 8, right here. Point A, B, C, D, E, F. Now, for this graph, شايفينه هذا الجراف ولا مش شايفه مش واضح؟ أكبره غاد؟ تمام. نعم. Okay. Let's calculate the slope of this demand curve. The slope. So, the slope here of this demand curve, slope equals مقابل على مجاور. That's it. نيجاتيف سلوب نيجاتيف ساين ده نيجاتيف ساين مظبوط then slope هيك equals change in price over change in quantity demanded equals هذا minus 8 over 8 اللي هو minus 1 حيكون وهذا fixed على كل النقاط يعني let's calculate the slope between B and C هذا from B to C قديش السلوب هذا راح يكون عندنا P1 P2 صح وهذا هي QD1 QD2 اعمل calculations from B to C السلوب شو بيطلع فرقية 2 وفرقية 2 minus 1 so the slope here is fixed along the demand curve خذ any 2 points from B to D طبعا it's not always minus 1 sometimes the slope equals minus 2 let us assume this is 10 and 5 how much is the slope equals minus 2 10 over 5 minus 2 right sometimes this and maybe the demand curve here 10 and 5 half all right let's come back here to this example here now calculate or let's calculate the price elasticity of demand at point B for instance calculate the price elasticity of demand at point B the price elasticity of demand at point B equals 1 over the slope times P over QD. So PED at point B equals 1 over minus 1 slope of the demand curve times the price at point B 6 yeah over the quantity demanded 2 6 minus over minus 2 equals minus 3 so the price elasticity of demand here equals minus 3 what about point C here the price elasticity of demand at point C 1 over minus 1 times 4 over 4 4 over minus 4 equals minus 1 so here the demand is minus 1 unitary elastic here's elastic what about point D here PD at point D equals minus 1 over 1 over minus 1 times 2 over 6 2 over minus 6 equals minus 1 over 3 no, 0.0333 the demand is inelastic what about point F here the last point here PED at point F equals 1 over minus 1 times the price equals 0 and the quantity equals 8 so times 0 over 8 equals 0 so at this point here the demand is perfectly inelastic all right what logical why who will check it طب here في فري برودكتس بتكون او في فري برايسز انا بتروحيش على حدائق انت عامه بتروحي على حدائق عامه عمرك طلعتي على يعني تروحي تتنزهي وهيك منتزه بلديه بتاخذوا سيرفيسز صح بتروحي انت وامك وخالتك وستك واخوك صح مزبوط تاخذوا سيرفيسز اللي هي هذه كوانتيتي قديش البرايسز بتدفعوا زيرو برايسز بصير مزبوط sometimes تدفع برايسز بتاخذوش ولا حاجه لو هذا الكيس طبعا هذا rare cases هذا في البابليك جودز بسموه مش في البرايفت جودز تمام الا اذا كان واحد يعني بده يعمل معروف يعني يعطيك فري برودكتس free quantities يعني quantities تاخدها free. تمام؟ طيب هنا هيك at point A the price elasticity of demand equals 1 over minus 1 times the price equals 8 over 0 minus infinity. So at this point the demand is perfectly inelastic. Okay? Clear? Let's go to something else. So the larger result or conclusion تبعنا, the larger price elasticity of demand, the lower or the less slope. اللي هي هاي الحالات المعاكسة. كل ما بيزيد السلوب كل ما كان price elasticity of demand. جرب هيك, جربوا لي, خلوا لي سلوب equals, زيد السلوب هذا بينزل, صح؟ That's it. الأمور مش بدهاش يعني. Let's go to study the relationship between the price elasticity of demand and total revenue. امسح. تمام. Now let's go to study the relationship between the price elasticity of demand and total revenue. PED and total revenue. Total revenue means الإيراد الكلي. Total revenue, TR, equals the price times the quantity sold or the quantity purchased here. تمام? Let us assume that someone of you is a seller and you went to the market, you have 7 boxes of orange. The price per box of orange equals 30 shekels. And you sold all the quantity. How much is your total revenue? Exactly. So the total revenue you obtain here equals 7 boxes, the price 30, times the quantity sold here, 7, equals 210 shekels. So the total revenue equals the price per unit times the quantity sold, or the quantity demanded here. Okay? Now, is there a relationship between the total revenue and the price elasticity, the elasticity of the product, or not? How? To understand the relationship between the total revenue and the price elasticity of demand, let us have the following examples. But before that, the price elasticity of demand helps the decision makers, the sellers, to take proper decisions in terms of the pricing policies that they have to use or they have to apply. أنا واحد ببيع طحين demand عليه ماله inelastic, مظبوط؟ واحد ببيع flour. To increase the total revenue ايش بتقولوا؟ بتقولوا ارفع السعر. He has to increase the price. مظبوط؟ Yes. Because here, as we mentioned, that the total revenue equals the price times the quantity demanded, right? Now, if the demand for flour is inelastic, demand for flour is inelastic, product is necessary for the consumer, he cannot or they cannot give up it when the price goes up. And it has no substitutes or few number of substitutes. مظبوط؟ طيب هذا الديماند عليه inelastic. بالالاستيسيتي demand change in quantity demanded percent over the change in price percent. اللي ببيع الطحين هذا if the price increased by 10%, let us assume that the price per sack of the flour increased by 10%. سعر الطحين زاد ب 10%. الكوانتيتي demanded بتنزل بقديش؟ لا أقل من هيك. لأنه demand is inelastic. The product is necessary for the consumer. He cannot give up it when the price goes up. So I expect that the quantity demanded will fall or will decline by less than 10% because the product is necessary for the consumer. It's important for the consumer. The giving up is difficult here. So the quantity demanded will go down by maybe to 2% just 2%, 3%, maybe. Okay? In this case, you're declining, negative, positive. It will be minus 0.2. The absolute value is less than 1, so the demand is inelastic. Okay? Let's apply these results here by this formula, or on this formula here. As we mentioned that here, that the total revenue equals the price times the quantity demanded, or quantity sold or quantity purchased here. According to our assumption here, the price goes up by 10%. مظبوط؟ Then the price طلع increased by 10%. يعني زاد increased by 10%. And the quantity demanded goes down by 2%. Negative. Which has larger effect? The increasing in the prices or the declining in the quantity demanded here? مين تأثيره أعلى? The increasing of prices has larger impacts, larger effects. So here I expect that هذا زاد ب 10%، هذا نقص ب 2%، الافكت هيعمل increasing في total revenue. مش واضحة؟ مين تأثيره أعلى؟ الطلوع اللي في البرايس. طب إذا كان so if the demand for the product was inelastic, like the demand for flour here, to increase the total revenue, what is your advice to the producers? Exactly. واحد ببيع طحين بتنصحه عشان يزيد إيراداته يرفع السعر ولا ينزله؟ لا، أنا بقول له سلعتك مهمة ارفع السعر. This is the result here. Okay? So if the producer here or the seller here decided to decrease the prices, يعني let us assume here we're talking about the demand for flour, and the seller decided to decrease the prices by 10%. The quantity demanded will increase by 2%. What will happen to the total revenue here? It goes down. هيو مين تأثيره أكبر؟ إذا هو راح ينزل السعر total revenue أكيد راح ينزل لأنه تأثير هذا أعلى من تأثير هذا. صح؟ مظبوط؟ ولا مش واضح؟ طيب another example for the elastic demand. Demand for orange. Demand for orange. So here, if demand was inelastic, if demand was inelastic, to increase total revenue, the producer, the seller, should increase the price This is my advice to him. Right?
Yes.
Let us assume that the demand for orange here, demand for orange is elastic, which means it's not very necessary for the consumer. The giving up is easy. It has many substitutes. Right? So the demand here is elastic, which means the price elasticity of demand, ED equals change in quantity demanded percent over change in price percent. As the price goes up by 10%, the quantity demanded will go down by 30%, or more or less, but it should be bigger than 10. Which means here, it's an assumption, minus the variable absolute value, it's bigger than 1. So the demand is elastic. All right? Now, let us apply this formula here. The total revenue for the producers or the sellers who sell orange, total revenue price times the quantity. So, according to our assumption here, increasing the prices by 10% leads to a decline in the quantity demanded by 30%. Positive, increasing. Decreasing by 30%, which has larger effects. The quantity, the change in the quantity demanded 30%. تأثير النزول أعلى من is bigger than the increasing effect. Exactly. بمعنى هذا وكأنه بقول لك هذا so total revenue will go down here if the producer or the seller decided to decrease the prices. To increase the price, total revenue will decline. بمعنى لو واحد بقول لك واحد ببيع برتقال تمام وفي له بدايل كتير البياعين كتير تمام عشان تزود ايرادك ما ترفعش السعر نزل السعر طب جرب نزل السعر تمام هذا لانه في سبستيوتس في بدائل في alternatives لو عمل ديكلايننج بالبرايسز نزل السعر ب 10% الكوانتيتي ديماندد راح تزيد ب 30% يعني لو عمل increasing في البرايسز باي declining في البرايسز باي 10% راح الكوانتيتي ديماندد تطلع ب 30%. شو التأثير؟ تأثير الكبير الطلوع هذا أعلى من تأثير النزول. صح؟ So total revenue راح يزيد بمعنى إنه إذا كان السلعة تبعتك هاي if the product is elastic or the demand for your product is elastic, I advise you to decrease the price in order to maximize the total revenue. Okay? تمام؟ طيب, let's have numerical examples or other examples. طب باليونيتر elastic إذا كان الديماند is unitary elastic بمعنى لو رفعنا السعر if the sellers increase the price by 10% الكوان demanded هتنزل ب 10% في تأثير؟ Then if the demand was unitary elastic my advice to you is to keep the price fixed constant لا ترفع ولا تنزل لأنه لا the same total revenue راح نشوف هالجيت نعم إلاستيك حاضر ليش محيت طيب ببين في الاكزامبل اللي بعده ايه راح ترجع للنقطه هي توصلي لها بالضبط ولا اعيدها حاضر اوكي if the demand is elastic means that the product has so many substitutes so many alternatives all right and the product is not necessary for the consumer and it's easy to give up it when the price goes up. Okay? Like the demand for apple, like the demand for orange, the product is not necessary, any product that's not necessary for the consumer. All right? The demand is elastic. ED equals change in quantity demanded percent over change in price percent. Demand for orange is not necessary for the consumer, or it has some substitute, according to our assumption here, that we will assume that the price goes up by 10%. According to our assumption or expectation that the quantity demanded will go down by 20%, 40%, 33%, it's bigger than 10%, right? Now, total revenue equals the price times the quantity. If the producer here or the seller increase the prices by 10%، بمعنى زاد هذا ب 10%، الكوانتيتي ديماندد راح تنزل بقديش؟ مين تأثيره أعلى؟ مين أكبر؟ الطلوع هذا ولا النزول؟ راح هذا ينزل. خلص. That's it. So if the demand for the product is elastic and the seller decided to increase the price, total revenue will go down. And vice versa. إذا كان عمل decrease, the quantity demanded will increase by 20%. Total revenue will go up. Right? Tamam. Let's go to other examples related to this point. Assume that we have the following example. Price, quantity demanded, total revenue. Price per unit, quantity demanded, and total revenue. When the price was 5 shekels, the quantity sold or the quantity demanded was 110 units. As the price goes up to 6, the quantity demanded goes down to 100. Number one, calculate the total revenue before and after increasing the prices. Number one, calculate the total revenue before and after. Total revenue equals the price times the quantity. 5 times 110 equals 550. 6 times 600. Which means that the producer or the seller decided to increase the price, the total revenue goes up. The demand should be inelastic. Let's calculate the price elasticity of demand to make sure that the theory is correct. هذا price P1 صح؟ P2 QD1 Q2. Let's calculate the price elasticity of demand. PED equals Q2 minus Q1 over P2 minus P1 times P2 plus P1 over Q2 plus Q1. So the price elasticity of demand equals Q2 100 minus 110 over P2 6 minus 5 times 6 plus 5 over 100 plus 110. All right? So PED equals minus 10 over 1 times 11 over 210. How much is it? PED equals minus 110 over 210. Minus how much؟ حدا يشتغل على الآلة بس؟ 0 point, which is less than 1 absolute value, so the demand is inelastic. The demand is inelastic. Like the demand for a flour, for example. Which means, as the price goes up from 5 to 6, the total revenue goes up. So, when demand is inelastic, increasing the prices leads to increasing total revenue. If demand is inelastic, declining the prices from 6 to 5 leads to a declining in total revenue from 600 to 550, and vice versa. يعني لو كان ببيع عند 6 ونزل ل 5، التوتال ريفينيو قديش كان؟ كان 600 وصار 550. صح؟ So my advice to him is to increase the price to maximize or to increase the total revenue. Right? تمام؟ مين مش فاهمين؟ طيب, let us have different or another example. Let us assume this number is 130 and the price is 5. Price 1 is 5, price 2 is 6. The quantity demanded was 130 and declined to 100. Right? Calculate the total revenue before, total revenue after, and calculate the price elasticity of demand. Okay? Total revenue is how much here? 5 times 130, 650. Right? Now, 6 times 100, 600. What do you see? As the price goes up from 5 to 6, the total revenue goes down from 650 to 600. Let's calculate, which means that his decision or her decision to increase the price is incorrect. It's not rational decision. قرار مش حكيم. لأنه رفع السعر إراده نزل. مش هذا اللي بدنا إياه. صح؟ Incorrect decision. So let's calculate. The price elasticity of demand in this case is elastic. سلعة لها بدايل. هو قرار مش سليم. رفع السعر الناس سابته وراحت على غيره. هي باختصار هيك. تمام. So let's calculate the price elasticity of demand. The same formula here. Instead of 110, 130. 130. How much is it here? Minus 3. Okay. So PED here equals minus 30 over 1 times 11 over 230. So PED equals minus 330 over 230. How much is it? It's bigger than 1. 43. Minus 1.43. The absolute value is bigger than 1, so the demand is elastic. So here the demand is elastic. Like the demand for orange. طب السلوب يا ناس قديش بيطلع؟ شو هذا السلوب؟ Change your price over change your quantity demand. هذا ناقص هذا على هذا ناقص هذا. يعني هذا elastic، يعني أكبر من واحد السلوب حيكون أقل من واحد. بالابسوليوت فاليو صح؟ احسب السلوب. اشوف السلوب change your price over change your quantity. P2 minus P1 over Q2 minus Q1. P2, 6 minus 5 over 100 minus 130. 1 over 30 أو بالماينس هذا. ماينس 1 على 30 هذا it's less than 1 بيكون هذا السلوب ماله سلوبه قليل. The more elastic the less slope. تمام؟ لقيت بنشوف جايين لليونتري لقيت. طيب let's go to another thing or another point here. Let us assume that the price changed from 5 to 6 and the quantity demanded it changed from 120 to 100. What do you see? How much is the total revenue here? Price times the quantity. 5 times 120 equals 600. As the price increased from 5 to 6, the quantity demanded goes down from 120 to 100. How much is it? 600. What do you see? Increasing in the price leads to no change in total revenue. So the demand should be unitary elastic. يحس بها -1. تمام? So here 120 instead of 130. 120. اشتغلوا عليه هيك. -20 over 1 times 11 over 220. How much is it here? -20 times 11 minus 220 over 1 times 220, 220 equals -1. So the demand is unitary elastic. That's it. تمام? So the demand is unitary elastic. So هذا هيك unitary elastic like the demand for any product. The change في البرايس بيساوي the change في الquant demand. تمام؟ Clear? It's perfect. Let's go to let's go to another point, which is the marginal revenue. Marginal revenue. Marginal revenue means الإيراد الحدي. Marginal means الحدي. Marginal revenue إيراد حدي. Marginal revenue is the change in total revenue over the change in the quant demanded or the quant sold. Which means what will happen to the total revenue if the quantity sold increase or decline? Again, what will happen to the total revenue if the quantity sold it changes, increase? According to our assumption, let us assume إنه the quantity demanded زاد. What will happen to the total revenue? ممكن يزيد وممكن ينقص وممكن ما يتغيرش. تمام؟ If we came back quickly to the last examples, واللي هو هذا هيك MR marginal revenue equals total revenue 2 minus total revenue 1 over Q2 minus Q1. And the last examples here, price, quantity, total revenue, and let's calculate the marginal revenue. Prices, quantity, total revenue. According to assumption, I think 5, 6, 130, 110, 100, right? Total revenue 550, 600. Now, the declining in the quant demanded leads to an increasing in total revenue, and vice versa. The quant demanded زاد, total revenue نقص. صح؟ قلنا هذا الديماند ماله طلع لنا الانكريزنج اللي في البرايس عمل شو؟ عمل increasing في total revenue كان inelastic. إذا بتتذكروا صح؟ تمام. Now let's calculate the marginal revenue. This is Q1, Q2, TR1, TR2. Marginal revenue equals TR2 minus 200 minus TR1 over Q2 minus Q1. We're talking about someone who sells ducks. Let's calculate the marginal revenue here. MR equals CR2 minus CR1 600. بطل اكتب بالقلم شيء. أنا عارف ليش. TR2 minus TR1 over Q2 minus Q1. MR equals TR2 600 minus 550 over Q2 100 minus 110 equals 50 over minus 10 equals minus 5. تمام. هذا أول حاجة. طيب. Demand is elastic ولا inelastic كان؟ The price طلع, total revenue زاد. Demand is inelastic. So, when demand is inelastic demand, هذا عندنا two results or three. Price increased, total revenue increased. Price declined, total revenue declined. مظبوط؟ هذا our result. Number one, when the price increased, total revenue increased. Number two, quantity declined, total revenue increased. صح؟ هاي. Quantity goes down, leads to increasing total revenue. صح؟ Marginal revenue is negative. طبعا قد يكون positive وقد يكون zero. MR marginal revenue is negative sign. Is less than zero. Marginal revenue is less than zero. هل جيت بدنا نجرب؟ خلينا نشوف. لو ايش؟ حنشوف. هلا اعملوا على الاكزامبل الثاني اللي هو elastic. نجرب. طبعا هذا الفايس فيرسا انه if the price goes down, total revenue goes down. Quantity sold increased, total revenue goes down. بيكون هذا inelastic. تمام؟ So if the demand was inelastic, marginal revenue is a negative sign. تمام؟ طيب. Let us assume here that the price was, that we have changes in prices and the quantity total revenues. The price the second case, when demand is elastic demand. Price, quantity, total revenue, and MR here. Five, six. How much is it? Sorry? 130, 100. How much is the total revenue here? 650, 600. Let's calculate the marginal revenue. MR equals TR2 minus TR1 over Q2 minus Q1. 600 minus 650 over 100 minus 130. So MR equals minus 50 over minus 30 equals positive 1.67. What is the sign of the marginal revenue here? Positive sign. So here we have a positive sign. So when demand is elastic demand, we have three results. Here, marginal revenue equals positive 1.67. Elastic with the elastic demand, as the price goes up, total revenue goes down. هاي صح؟ مظبوط؟ طب لو البرايس نزل total revenue goes up. صح؟ But two, as the quantity sold goes down, total revenue goes down as well. Declining in the quantity demanded or quantity sold leads to a declining in total revenue. Number three, and vice versa. As the quantity goes up, total revenue goes up. صح? And MR has a positive sign. Or it's bigger than zero. It's bigger than zero. The marginal revenue is bigger than zero. What about the unitary elastic demand? بس الام ار بعمل comparison as zero. It's bigger than zero or less than zero. في المارجنال ريفينيو بحكي انه المارجنال ريفينيو equals zero, less than zero, bigger than zero. اوكي؟ يعني باخذ الساين إلها value هان. الساين لا، الساين إلها value. إلها meaning. It has a meaning here. بالالاستيسيتي المينينج تبعها انه negative represents the negative relationship between the prices and the quantity demand. Here it has a meaning, or it has a value here. Okay? طيب, what if the demand is unitary elastic, which means here, according to assumption, the quantity is 120 and 100. 600, 600. What about the marginal revenue here? Let's calculate MR. Let's calculate the marginal revenue here. MR equals CR2 minus CR1 over Q2 minus Q1. So MR equals 600 minus 600 over 100 minus 600 minus 600 over 100 minus 120 equals zero. Zero, yes. So, the total revenue, demand is unitary elastic. Demand is unitary elastic. So, the results here. When demand is unitary elastic, so MR is zero. Yes. As the price goes up, total revenue unchanged, remains constant, fixed. As the quantity goes down, total revenue unchanged. As the quantity goes up, total revenue unchanged. As the price goes down, total revenue unchanged. MRs or equals zero. So here, As the price goes up, total revenue remains constant or fixed. Fixed or constant. Or constant. Or unchanged. As the quantity goes down, total revenue fixed or unchanged, and MR is 0. Right? يعني فاهمين؟ 100% الحمد لله. جزاك يا رب. طيب